The story follows Zhang Yao, a retired soldier who now works as a fisherman to support his family. After 7 months at sea, he returns home only to find his shop closed down. His neighbors inform him that his wife became addicted to drugs, selling both their house and shop. Heartbroken, Zhang Yao searches for her and finds her in a terrible state among other drug users under a bridge. He reminisces about their once happy life, now shattered in his absence. During his time away, his wife had opened a small shop, but drug dealers tricked her by lacing her drink with drugs. Unknowingly, she consumed it, and soon, addiction took hold of her. Desperate to sustain her habit, she sold everything. Their situation worsened when their young daughter was tragically killed in a car accident while her mother was under the influence. Overcome with guilt and despair, Zhang Yao's wife ultimately takes her own life, leaving behind a note naming the drug responsible. Meanwhile, drug lords, corrupt officials, and even police chiefs profit from the illegal trade, living lavishly while their victims suffer. 2 years later, we meet Indu, a police officer leading a raid on drug dealers. However, it is revealed that he is secretly involved in the drug trade, confiscating evidence only to deliver it to Mu Kun, a powerful and ailing drug kingpin. Mu Kun, aware that his days are numbered, instructs his trusted associate, Haida, to locate his long-lost son, Zhang Wang, known for his violent and uncontrollable nature. Zhang Wang, who has committed numerous serious crimes and is rumored to engage in cannibalism, is currently imprisoned. Unexpectedly, Zhang Yao is in the same prison as Zhang Wang, but not by chance. His mission is to stop Zhang Wang. With the help of a prison guard and a detailed disguise, Zhang Yao plans to assume Zhang Wang's identity and infiltrate Mu Kun's empire. He alters his appearance, creates fake scars, and obtains a counterfeit ID. On the way to Mu Kun's mansion, Zhang Yao is escorted by Mu Kun's men. However, the ship's crew turns out to be assassins sent to kill Zhang Wang. Zhang Yao successfully fends him off, and it is then revealed that Indu has been secretly assisting him all along. Though his true motives remain unclear, Indu has carefully arranged everything to help Zhang Yao gain Mu Kun's trust, making Mu Kun believe that Zhang Yao is actually his lost son. Upon arriving at the mansion, Zhang Yao flawlessly plays the role of Zhang Wang, fooling everyone. Using a phone he took from one of the assassins, he traces the mastermind behind the murder attempt. The call leads to a government official, but in reality, it was Haida who planted the phone in the official jacket before killing him to divert suspicion. Despite years in the criminal underworld, Mu Kun remains cautious. As he meets Zhang Yao for the first time, he secretly collects a blood sample from him under the guise of wiping his face. He then hands it over for a DNA test. That night, during a grand celebration of Zhang Wang's return, Mu Kun receives the DNA results. Somehow, they confirm Zhang Yao as his son. Unaware that the test was manipulated, Mu Kun publicly declares Zhang Yao as his heir, entrusting him with his vast empire. To solidify the transfer of power, he gives Zhang Yao a symbolic necklace. For Zhang Yao's first assignment, Mu Kun ordered him to confront a drug dealer, Balai, who had stolen from him. Accompanied by Haida's men, Zhang Yao arrived at the meeting place, only to find himself in a dangerous situation. After some pressure, Balai confessed to his crime, but things took a turn when Haida's men, instead of supporting Zhang Yao, attempted to eliminate him. Relying on his quick reflexes and luck, Zhang Yao managed to escape and even brought Balai back with him as an ally. This unexpected turn of events impressed Mu Kun, while Haida was frustrated by the failure of his plan. Meanwhile, the story shifts to Indu, who is revealed to be the nephew of the police chief, Onpei. Indu secretly loves Nancy, a woman trapped in a toxic situation with her uncle, who frequently mistreats her. She stays with him because she has no one else to turn to. Indu's true motive for working with Zhang Yao is finally unveiled. He wants to expose his corrupt uncle's involvement in the drug trade, hoping that once his uncle is removed, he can take over as the new police chief. Additionally, he dreams of saving Nancy from her suffering. The next day, Zhang Yao meets with Indu and hands over all the evidence of Mu Kun's crimes, believing his mission is finally over. However, Indu gives him another task: locate Mu Kun's private safe, which contains hundreds of millions of dollars, transaction records, and a list of all individuals involved in illegal activities. Indu also instructs Zhang Yao to stir up a conflict between Mu Kun and An Pei. Though this request isn't part of the original mission, Indu wants it for personal reasons, to accelerate his uncle's downfall. Later that day, Zhang Yao informs An Pei that his monthly allowance will be reduced by 30%. Outraged, An Pei has Zhang Yao locked up in the police station. That night, Zhang Yao's allies stage a rescue, attacking the police station with gunfire. At the same time, An Pei, who is on a call with Mu Kun, is startled by an explosion outside. His fate remains uncertain, but Zhang Yao is eventually freed, thanks to Indu. He is safely escorted home, as Mu Kun's health deteriorates rapidly. Upon his return, Zhang Yao rushes to see Mu Kun, who is struggling to breathe. Mu Kun apologizes for mistreating Zhang Yao, believing he was his son, Zhang Wang. As a final act of redemption, he reveals the location of his secret safe, hidden in a company building. The key to the safe is the special necklace he had previously given Zhang Yao. With his mission complete, Zhang Yao finally reveals the truth. He is not Zhang Wang, but one of the many victims of Mu Kun's drug empire. Shocked by this revelation, Mu Kun suffers a heart attack and dies on the spot. In front of Haida, Indu, and high-ranking officials, Mu Kun's will is read. It states that all his wealth and assets are to be inherited by Zhang Wang, who, in reality, is Zhang Yao. Enraged, Haida loses control and shoots the lawyer, furious that Mu Kun left him nothing. Chaos erupts as Haida's men clash with Mu Kun's loyal followers. In the midst of the battle, Balai arrives to aid Zhang Yao and Indu. Together, they defeat Haida and his forces. Once the dust settles, Zhang Yao hands the necklace to Indu, believing the mission is finally over. However, a shocking betrayal is revealed. Indu was never truly on Zhang Yao's side. It turns out Balai was actually a spy for Indu all along. 2 years prior, Indu had started plotting to overthrow his uncle and Mu Kun. At the same time, Zhang Yao was seeking justice for his wife and daughter. Seeing an opportunity, Indu manipulated Zhang Yao into believing they shared a common goal. Recognizing Zhang Yao's skills as a former Special Forces soldier, Indu used him as a pawn in his elaborate scheme to seize power. Indu orchestrated Zhang Yao's entry into the same prison as Xiao Wang, arranging every detail to ensure Zhang Yao could take on Xiao Wang's identity. He also struck a deal with Balai, promising him drugs in exchange for his assistance. Indu assigned Balai the task of assassinating his uncle, An Pei, during a staged road collapse, using an item with Zhang Yao's fingerprints to frame him. In the aftermath, Zhang Yao was held responsible for the deaths of both Mu Kun and An Pei. However, rather than killing him immediately, Indu imprisoned Zhang Yao, waiting for the right moment to execute his final plan. Soon, Indu ascended to the role of police chief, replacing his uncle. With his newfound power, he launched large-scale raids on all drug operations, from manufacturing sites to distribution hubs. Once he had eliminated the competition and established himself as a hero, Indu went to the building where Mu Kun's hidden safe was located. As expected, it was overflowing with unimaginable wealth. Now, with everything set in motion, Indu prepared for his final move, blowing up the temple where Mu Kun and An Pei were to be laid to rest. The event was attended by top officials, business tycoons, law enforcement, and anyone tied to Mu Kun's drug empire. Indu's plan was to eliminate everyone who could potentially stand in his way. However, just as Nancy concluded her speech, she unveiled a curtain, revealing hundreds of photographs of victims alongside stacks of confiscated illegal substances. The attendees were left in shock as Nancy swiftly exited, locking the doors behind her. At that moment, a massive explosion erupted, not only destroying the temple, but also obliterating the secret safe room where Indu and Zhang Yao stood. But then, the real twist unfolded. Balai, who had always seemed like just another drug addict, was once a loving older brother. His life took a tragic turn when his little sister became addicted to drugs. Determined to save her, Balai took her to a hospital, where he crossed paths with Nancy, a dedicated doctor. While Balai and Zhang Yao had lost loved ones to drugs, Nancy had her own painful story. Her father, a righteous police officer, had refused to take bribes from Yu Kun and On Pei. In retaliation, they forced him into a fatal overdose. Balai's suffering didn't end there. His home, as well as his sister's, was seized due to her debts to loan sharks, forcing them to live beneath a bridge, a refuge for those destroyed by addiction. Sadly, his sister passed away, leaving him with nothing. It was under this very bridge that Nancy first met Zhang Yao, and they discovered their shared pain, lives ruined by the drug trade. Realizing they weren't alone in their grief, the three of them, Zhang Yao, Nancy, and Balai, formed a pact to seek revenge. Their ultimate target, Mu Kun. Using their meager savings and Nancy's late father's pension, they carefully devised a high-risk mission. Nancy, leveraging her beauty and intelligence, won On Pei's favor and began gathering valuable intel. Though the role required her to sacrifice her dignity and morals, she endured it for the sake of justice. Next, Balai infiltrated Indu's circle, pretending to be an addict to earn his trust. His mission was to manipulate Indu's ambition into bringing down both On Pei and Mu Kun. Finally, Zhang Yao played the role of a justice seeker, positioning himself at the heart of the operation. As their plan unfolded, they recruited others into their cause. The nurse who switched Zhang Yao's blood sample, the soldiers who stormed the police station, the demolition worker responsible for On Pei's fatal road collapse, the journalist exposing corruption, and many more. Together, they sought justice where the system had failed. However, Indu quickly caught on and ordered the elimination of Balai and Nancy. With them gone, only Zhang Yao remained. Though no one knew the full extent of Zhang Yao's plan, Indu refused to take any chances. He shot Zhang Yao, sending him plummeting off a building. However, Indu overlooked a crucial detail. Zhang Yao and his team weren't acting alone. Many others had been part of their mission, including a TV reporter who had secretly captured footage of the shooting. The video was broadcast live on a massive billboard, exposing Indu's crimes to the public. The shocking revelation reached police headquarters, prompting immediate action. Indu was swiftly taken down. In the end, Zhang Yao, Balai, and Nancy emerged as the true heroes. Though the world remained unaware of their sacrifices, the families living under the bridge, the very people they had fought for, knew the truth. They became living witnesses to the trio's courage and determination. With justice finally served, the film comes to a close.